So at the time when my mother and Damon's dad were actually seeing one another, Damon's dad was married to his mother. Yep.
It's something about the way you stare into my eyes. I know that I don't make things clear. I fall for you every time I try to resist. We can get away from chase beach views and every day. All I wanna hear is an episode that we play. Sit right next to you.
What's good, family? It's your fave, Miss Renee. You guys, it is almost Friday. It is Thursday, October the 27th, I believe. I think. Let me tell you something. It's been a while since I just got in front of the camera and just had a story time. But you know what? I think it is time for us to talk. I do. And I don't know where the camera is, but I am ready to do just that. Okay. I've been so busy, you guys. It's Fave-tober still. And I have had an amazing October. This October has actually been better than last October. And then, hey, I still got stuff going on. Don't forget that we will be doing our drawing on Wednesday. If nothing else goes wrong, our first 100 days till Christmas drawing will be Wednesday, okay? Had to postpone it for issues unforeseen, okay? Nothing that I did. Trust. People, okay? People. So anyway, our first drawing will be next week. I'm excited about that. And I hope you guys will enjoy tonight's video, okay? Tonight's video, as you can tell by the title, is called Daddy Issues. Yeah. So I have been listening to some of my girls over at BHS. Or should I say BTHS, right? Did I say that correctly? I hope so. You guys know exactly who you are. A group of my senior girls. And I am getting closer and closer to, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for them letting me in, and I'm thankful for being able to mentor these young ladies. And I hope tonight's video will help. And yeah, I hope it will. So, story time. It's been a long time since I did a story time. Tonight's video is very necessary. So, daddy issues, right? Let me first say that I have 3 fathers, actually, technically. I have a biological father, which I've never met, and I have 2 amazing stepfathers. And my first stepfather is someone that I call Pops, and who legally adopted me when I was a very little girl, like maybe about 7, something like that, 7 or 8. I know that when I went to live with my biological mother, I was 7, and my name was changed when I was going into the 3rd grade. I do remember that. So, yeah, Pops is one of my dads who I love tremendously. My second stepfather, you guys, if the only thing that would make me tear up tonight is the fact of talking about my daddy. Okay, so Pops is still alive and still with us to this day. But my daddy, my second stepfather, transitioned to heaven in 2015. And he was my daddy. We are not biologically connected, but he's my daddy. he was my daddy. Okay, see, there they go. But this isn't about my daddies, because Pops and Daddy have been swell. I mean, they picked up the pieces to a broken little girl, and they loved her, and they guided her, and they were there for her. So this video is not about Pops or Daddy. And so that I am always cautious and I never want to blast anybody. I mean, we don't do that ever. We never blast people. Even when we have something we need to talk about. And whenever we're in the classroom, we always switch the names up or say them, they, or whatever, just to protect people's privacy. Because this is not about bashing anyone. This is about telling my story. And you guys know that I believe in telling my story. This is my quote: tell your story, live your truth, share your journey, heal your soul. I believe in that. I believe that we share and we gain from each other bits and pieces of whatever we're willing to share can sometimes help the next person in line, the next person going through, the next person hurting, right? So when you don't want to speak up, when you don't want to share whatever it is, sometimes that could be the very reason why the person behind you is met with adversity or met with a traumatic experience and doesn't know how to handle it because you didn't tell your story. You didn't share your journey. So I believe in that, okay? I believe in that. Believe me when I tell you this video is not to shame anyone. No, it's not to shame anyone. It's just being honest and transparent and real. The facts are what they are. And no sense in sugarcoating it now. So, the only thing that probably will make me tear up is if I revert back to talking about my daddy, okay? And let me tell you something. My daddy was probably the best man. My daddy was the best man that I've ever known. He loved me unconditionally, and he showed me that until his dying days. So, with that being said, I miss him. I can't help but cry. But I try my best not to, okay? So I'm going to put these big girl panties on, and I promise you not another tear. I'm going to try my best, okay? So listen. Again, like I said, this video isn't about my pops or my daddy, okay? This video is about the man that biologically connected with my mother to create me, okay? So let's get started, shall we? And again, to secure people's privacy, I will be changing the names. Y'all know me. You know, Larry. That's an insider. Sorry about that. Anyway, I will protect his privacy. I will not disclose his legal name, of course. Okay, so as I've already started and telling you guys that I went to live with my mother, my biological mother, when I was 7 years old. So there's a whole story about mommy issues coming up very, very soon. I hope to have that video released this weekend, okay? I definitely feel like these videos need to be in close proximity on my YouTube channel because some girls are only dealing with daddy issues and some girls are dealing with mommy issues. Well, unfortunately, Fave Miss Renee had to deal with them both, mommy and daddy issues, which is, of course, I feel the reason why, of course, I am now working with children and have been working with children for a very long time. Yeah, he used me. He used me. So, I went to live with my mother when I was 7. And when I went to live with my mother, she was in her first marriage. And I'll call him Pops, okay, who is still alive and well. And then shortly after that, my mother and my daddy got together. So mama ended up leaving Pops, and then she got with daddy. And that's how those two dads came into my picture, came into my life, okay? And my mom and my daddy had a biological son together, just my little brother. He's always watching. Okay, guys, so let's get into this video, shall we? Okay, so I want to tell you a couple of things. I told you this is a story time. So, I believe I had to be about, I want to say I was like 13, between the ages of 13 and 15, because I'm really not sure how old I was. But I know I was like preteen, teenager, somewhere around in there, okay? Maybe 12 to 15, somewhere around there. So anyway, I was going through this thing where I wanted to find my biological father. And I had been talking to my daddy, and my daddy had told me, I know who your dad is. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, I know who your dad is. And his mom lives right over here on such and such street. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. He says, I'll take you over there. So I remember us driving there, and me and my daddy. And he drove me to the house, and he stayed in the car and let me walk up to the door. So I walked up to the door, and when I got to the door, I rang the doorbell or knocked on the door or whatever. And my dad had already told me that that house belonged to my grandmother, my biological father's mom. So he also told me her name, so I knew her name. So I waited on her to come to the door, whoever to come to the door. And when the lady came to the door, I told her who I was. I introduced myself, and I told her that I believe that she's my grandmother. And the lady looked at me, and she says, no, I don't have any grandchildren by that name. And no, I don't know anything about that. And she shut the door. So I was kind of sad. And I went back to the car, and I started crying. And my daddy said, what happened? And I told him. And he said, don't worry about that, baby. He said, I love you. And so we got home. And I don't know when my mother approached me, but she did. And she said, so what did you find out? And I told her what happened. And she said, well, I just wish you would be done with this, because it's really hurting your daddy's feelings. And I went, but why? And she says, it really is, Renee, because he loves you and he doesn't want to see you hurt. And I just wish you would leave it alone. So I did. That's that. I mean, if this has hurt my daddy, I'm not doing it. And we never brought it up again. Promise. Like, that was it. I knew that it hurt my dad. I didn't want to hurt my dad. My daddy was an excellent daddy to me. He loved me, and I knew that. So that's all I need. So I didn't bring it up anymore. So fast forward to the year I know, right? 1990, let's say 97 or 98. one of the two. Probably 97 because I had already left Larry. And if you don't know who Larry is, girl, you're going to have to go back and do a little research on the serial cheater videos. Married to a serial cheater. Okay, so anyway, I probably 97, 98, and I was working at a college access center. Let's just say it like that. And I had become friends with a lot of the ladies that work in the office. Of course, we're there all day together, right? And one of the ladies, let's call her Miss Patty. Miss Patty was so nice. And she was just an amazingly sweet woman and good to everybody. She'd pray with you, you know. She'd lift you up. She'd encourage you on spot, like immediately. If something was wrong with you, no matter what, she was ready to intercede. I loved her so much. Miss Patty became my really good friend. And Miss Patty knew that I was newly separated. I wasn't divorced yet. And she knew that I was going to be divorced. But she also knew that I had a tough time. You know, Larry had did me wrong, honey. And she liked me. And one day, Miss Patty said, you know what, Renee? I got a nephew, and he is a really nice guy. I think y'all would be good friends. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I think y'all would. He's a really nice young man. So she told her nephew about me, and he came into the office one day, and we met. And let's call him Damon. So Damon was this really awesome guy. Really handsome. Just a really nice guy. And we became friends, and we talked on the phone, and we exchanged numbers at the office. And so we talked on the phone, and this is before cell phones, okay? So we were just really good friends. And sometimes we would talk on the phone for hours. Hours. Mainly we talked about our issues in our relationships with other people, but he was a very good looking boy, young man. Well, we did that for a while. I was singing too. So one time he came to see me sing, and that was like one of my little things I was still actively pursuing in those days, was a singing career. And so he even came out to support me when I was singing. I think at least twice. I think twice he came out to check me out. But nevertheless, Damon was just a great guy. Funny how we just never really connected romantically, but he was a great friend. So, whatever happened, I mean, we just lost touch. It wasn't like we got mad. It wasn't like he said something to offend me or I said something to offend him. It was just life happens, and we got busy, and one time we didn't talk, and that one time just took on 2 or 3, 4 or 5 months. I don't know. So one day, Damon came in to the office to see his Aunt Patty. And so when he came into the office, I mean, this is my friend, right? Damon is now my really good friend. So I looked up and I was like, Damon. And he was like, hey, Renee. And I was like, where you been, stranger? I ain't heard from you, you know. And he was like, well, I ain't heard from you either, you know. And sadly, I was like, well, you know what? I don't know where your number is, so put your number on that paper for me, please, so I can, you know, get back to you later or whatever. You know, just write your number down. And so he was like, okay, cool. So he talked to his auntie and you know, did whatever he did. And I went back on my side of the office, and I said, don't forget to leave your number. You know, I'm going to give you a call. So he was like, okay, cool. So I came back over to the Miss Patty's side of the office, and I saw the little paper there with his name on it, and he wrote kind of fancy, and he had D. Smithers. Now, you know I'm making the name up, okay? I'm not saying his real name, okay? His name is not D. Smithers or Damon. So, he wrote D. Smithers, and the way he had it written, it was kind of like, why did he write his name like D. Smithers? And then I looked at the name and I said, Smithers. Huh. I said, Miss Patty, I never knew that Damon's last name was Smithers. And she was like, Renee, as long as you've been knowing Damon, you didn't know that his last name was Smithers? And I said, no. And then for a moment, I started thinking, that's my biological father's last name. Hadn't heard it in a long time, but I do know that name. So I went around the front desk and sat beside Miss Patty, and I said, Miss Patty, I said, I used to have a grandmother, and her name was Frances Smithers. And she looked at me and she said, well, Damon's grandmother's name was Frances too. She was Frances Smithers. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And then I said, wow, I said, that's strange. I never knew his last name was Smithers. And she goes, yeah, he's a Smithers. And I went, oh, okay. So then I said, I heard that my father, he passed away. But, because I had been told that my father, Richard Smithers, had passed away. So I said, well, my father, his name, no, I didn't say his name. I said, my father was living in California, but I heard that he passed away. And she said, really? Miss Patty said, well, Renee? She said, Damon's father lives in California right now. And I said, really? And she said, yes. And I went, wow. He's alive? And she said, yeah, he's alive and well. I went, oh, wow. So then I said, because at this point, my heart was beating really fast. And I knew I had to ask. So I said, Miss Patty, what's Damon's father's name? And she said, Richard Smithers. And I went, oh. And she went, oh, baby. And I was like, oh, my God. And she said, Renee, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not okay. I said, my biological father's name is Richard Smithers. And she said, oh, my goodness. And we left the front desk right then and there, like for real. Like we got up and left the front desk. And we went to a back office behind where my office was. And she called her sister. Excuse me. So sorry. So she called her sister, which was Damon's mother. And she got her sister on the phone. And at this point, I'm trembling. I'm so nervous and so like shock. You know what I'm saying? Like for real shock. So there's a net flying around. Sorry about that, you guys. You know how I get distracted when there's a net. But anyway, I'm trembling, and she's trying to reach out an arm for me while she's on the phone. She's trying to, comfort me and talk to her sister. And she tells her sister, she goes, there's a young lady here that works with me and has become friends with Damon, and we are just now putting things together that she's Damon's sister. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So I called my mother. And while Miss Patty was talking to her sister, Damon's mother, I'm on the phone with my mother, and we start connecting the story. Okay? And it matched. It matched. Yeah. Oh Lord, it matched. So it's crazy. I was crying. I was crying, you guys, so hard. And I remember this was right before Christmas break, and our office shut down, like a college or university, because we worked with college students. So we were shutting down for winter break. And I remember Miss Patty, saying, Renee, please don't say anything until after the holidays. And I was like, okay, I won't. And she says, after the holidays, we'll call Damon here and we'll have a meeting, just the three of us. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So the one thing that I thought about the entire winter break was, oh my God, I can't wait till we go back to work, right? So I remember getting back to work, and I'm not sure what the time frame was, but Miss Patty did exactly what she said she was going to do. And she called Damon to come and eat lunch with us in the office. And he did. And I remember the day that he came in the office, and I looked at him. And I'm not talking about looked at him. Like, I really looked at him. And I was like, oh my God. We have the same nose. We have the same shaped eyes. We have the same hair, except for his hair is black, but it's really curly. We have the same little mole on our mouths. I've got a little mole here, but I always cover my lips with lip gloss or lipstick. And he has freckles. And underneath the powder, so do I. Yeah. And my youngest son has a face full of freckles. So I'm looking at who I know is my brother, and I'm so emotional. I can't stop crying. Miss Patty was trying to paint the scene of the stage and help him to understand why he was actually called. And I was crying, and so he looked at me and he wanted to comfort me, and he was like, are you okay? And I said, I'm okay. And he was like, are the kids okay? And I went, the kids are fine. Because don't forget that this is my friend. So he is really trying to be a champ, seriously. Like, he has no idea what his aunt is about to say. And he's looking at his friend crying her eyes out. And so he was trying to listen to his aunt, but also concerned about me. And the dude was literally doing like this, like, you okay? And Okay, he's listening to his aunt, and he's looking over at me like, are you okay? So it was crazy, right? So eventually, Miss Patty was able to say to Damon, right before Christmas break, we learned that Renee is your sister. And Damon went, what? And he was like, no way. And I was like, yes, way. And he was like, oh, no, are you serious? And we were like, yes, we're serious. And he was just like, could not believe it. And so it was so crazy, y'all. The scene was nuts. Like, he could not believe it. First off, we're only 3 months apart. So yeah, my mom was 14 when she gave birth. 3 days later, she turned 15. So at the time when my mother and Damon's dad were actually seeing one another, Damon's dad was married to his mother. Yep. So, I was a baby as a result of an affair. That's me. I'm her. And because Damon's dad was married and older, he always denied me, never accepted me. There's more to that story, and I will share that at another time. But the shock of it all, you know. I'd always wanted to be validated by that man. I'd always wanted to know that he knew about me and that he cared. That's all. That's all I ever really wanted to know. That's all I ever really wanted from him. And I didn't meet him, but I met a brother from him. Yeah, I met a biological brother, a half brother. Okay, so I remember us parting that day, leaving each other, and immediately I asked him, I said, is your dad alive? And he goes, yeah. Oh yeah, he's fine. He's alive. And I was like, wow. Oh my God. I said, would you please tell him that you've met me and let him know that I'm alive? And please do that for me. And he was like, absolutely. I'm going to call him tonight. And I was like, okay, good. Thank you. So he did. Damon is my friend. So he did it. He called. He called and he got his dad on the phone. And his dad they were having a regular, hello, how are you? And he says, Dad, I met somebody. I met a girl. I met a woman. And he was like, oh, really? So, son, he said, she's a really nice lady. I really like her a lot. And he says, oh, are you serious about this one? You think you're getting married or what's going on? And he said, I can't marry this one, Dad. And the dad didn't say anything. And Damon said, she says she's my sister. And his dad said, oh, really? What's her mother's name? And Damon told him. And he said, I recognize the name. And that's it. That's all he said. I recognize the name. And that's it. That's all. That's all, folks. That's it and that's all. That's all he had to say. So, If I keep saying this man's name, I've had to stop this tape 3 times because I keep saying my brother's real name. I hope I did not say it. His name is Damon. Okay? Ugh. Anyway, for this video, his name is Damon. But anywho, once Damon told me what his father said, his father also said that I could write to him if I wanted to. His father said if she wants to contact me, she can write me. I couldn't call, but I could write him. And I thought, oh, okay. Well, thank you. I'm honored I can write you. Well, I got the address and everything, and then immediately I ran out and I started buying stationery, like beautiful writing paper, anything that I could find, everything that was pretty. I wanted to introduce myself on beautiful paper to this man who has always denied me and never wanted to meet me. Well, I started writing letters, and I wrote a few letters. And then eventually I decided I'm not going to write him. I don't need him to validate me. I am Renee, and I am happy, and I am wonderful, and I am resilient, and I am enough. And if he doesn't think so, that's on him. But I don't need his permission to be awesome. I already am, boo. So I didn't write him. Nope. In the meantime, my brother Damon had gotten pictures of 2 of the sisters by the dad and another woman. And so one of the sisters has my exact face. It's true. I looked at that girl and I was like, oh my God. It was like looking in the mirror. Wow. And that was my validation. And that was enough. Having Damon and looking at those pictures was all that I needed from that man. And so I never wrote him. Never. Never, not one time did I ever write him or ask to call him. And yes, as far as I know, he's still alive and a deacon in his church. Now, the most shocking part of this is, you guys, if you know anything about the trilogy that I have on my channel called Married to a Serial Cheater, you'll know that Larry, of course, cheated multiple times and had a little surprise at the end with a baby. Well, for a while, I was angry about the baby. I was very resentful about the baby. After all, Larry and I were married, and he cheated with another woman and made a baby. And then the Lord showed me that I couldn't be mad at that baby. Not anymore. Because I am just like her. I am just like that baby. My parents, biological parents, were irresponsible and were cheating and created me. So I am her and she is me. And I couldn't be mad anymore about her. And so slowly I started to get my thing together with the baby that Larry made, even though I've never seen her. I've never laid eyes on her. I don't blame her. I'm not mad at her. She is me. And I am her. And I'm not mad. That's the first time that I've ever said that out loud. But I mean it. So, what happened, you guys, is between Larry and Richard Smithers, I think that's what I gave him the name as, my biological father, they both did a number on me. And so for a few years, even though I didn't write him, I was still looking for validation. That happened for a while. And I was spinning my wheels out of control, trying to find the person that would make me enough. I didn't discover that I was enough all by myself for at least a decade after that. But, y'all, honey, I know it now. So, if I was going to tie up this video, I would say, if you are that girl like me, the girl that never knew her father, as hard as it is to deal with not as hard as it is to wrap your brain around not being wanted, like someone denying you, someone saying that that they don't want you in their lives, someone that's supposed to love you. Just know it truly is their loss. And I know that the good Lord, even though I'm not physically ever been in his space, in that man's space, in Richard's space, did I name him Richard? I don't know what to name him. Whatever. I know that he knows that he missed out. I know that he has an entire family that he doesn't know. I have beautiful children and gorgeous grandchildren. Talented, smart, and he missed out on that. Ain't no losers over here, boo. My wish for every young woman that sees this video that is hurting because of an absent father, looking for love, don't forget to turn around, grab you a mirror, and look at yourself, and know that you are enough. Beautiful as you are, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need validation. You don't need his approval. All you need to know and all you need to do is hold your head up. God doesn't make mistakes. You, my dear, were and never will be a mistake. There was a reason why God wanted you here. And so it is. Now, I'm here for you because I've been there. Oh, baby, there's more stories to come. But let me tell you something. Stop trying to find your daddy in these men. Stop trying to find validation from these people. God already validated you when he created you. And when he formed you in your mother's womb, he had purpose and a plan. Believe that. Now, I done talked y'all's head off. Ooh, child, and it's late. So I'm about to get off here and get ready to go to bed. But just know, baby, you are going to be just fine. I promise. Now, you know, Faith Miss Renee loves you like a fat lady loves cake. And don't forget, you guys, Walk in your purpose. Now, keep your heads up and your eyes open. And I'm going to see you real soon. We're going to kill those daddy issues. One way or another. All right. Mwah.
It's something about the way you stare.